The beginning, if you've got a cowbell, use a cowbell. If you've not, use the bell of the right cymbal. So just a cymbal and a snare drum. The cymbal pattern will be 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. So in bar 2 there's that little in between snare drum, bit of syncopation. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. The snare drum plays in the same place in the first bar, but we've just joined in with a cymbal this time. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So practice each bar individually until you can get it a bit faster. The second bar. So the only difference is the cymbal pattern. The snare drum stays the same. Make sure you don't get too overpowering in a bell sound. If you use that part of the stick too much, it can be a bit too harsh. So you want a nice sort of light. Then the ensemble figure, this is everyone plays, this is sort of the main hits of the tune. We're going 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2. 3, 4, and then into the groove. So just a couple little fills to talk about, nothing major. The first one, all on the high tom, a rhythm is 3, a 4, and. Leading into it. We're stopping dead on 2, we're not playing the and after it. Now you'll notice after that fill we don't do the very first cross stick. We keep the same pattern of 3 snares then 2, but you miss out the first one just because we've done the fill and it's a bit quick getting into it. But if it helps you, just do the cross stick. It's totally fine. So here's the fill and then going on. So it does sound a bit strange without the cross stick at the start. Here's what it sounds like with the cross stick at the start. It makes a bit more sense. So it makes more sense, but it's tricky to get right. That's why they've left out on the music. Next fill, it comes in the same sort of place, but the rhythm's a bit different. So before we went 3, a 4, and now we've got a rest on 3. We're playing 2 semiquavers after it. 3 and a 4, and again all in the high tom. 3 and. So we get. So it's like a little 2 quaver pause. Tap, tap. It's little because it's so fast in the music, so we're getting. Slower. Then we're into the next section, a little bit of a different groove, fairly simple though. Crotchets on the right cymbal. And we're going 1, 2, 4, and 1, 2, so snare drum on 2, snare drum on the end of 3 with 2 bass drums in between. Then a bass drum at the end to lead back into. 4 and 1, 4 and 1. Simple, but it's not that easy to play because it's quite hard to get all the quavers in between that right cymbal. We're not playing 1 and 2 and 3 and anymore, we're just doing crotchets. Take your time with it. So in the 7th bar, we start the bar as normal, and then after beat 3 we've got this little fill. 1, crash on beat 2. So we're going 3 and a 4 and 1, 2 with a crash. All on the floor tom this time. So the fills don't have much jumping around the drums. For me it's easiest to do the crash on your left hand, but whatever works for you is fine. Now the end, we've got the tricky part. First bar not so bad, we've got the cowbell or bell pattern. Is 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3. 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3. If you add the bass drums in here, this is the 2 bars, we're getting. And then we've got triplets on the snare drum, but they're all press rolls. So we're just buzzing each of them. To practice that, let's just take the second bar and don't play them buzzed for the beginning. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1. It's sometimes quite tricky to get that triplet feeling because we're in the bar before we're all straight and then it goes to triplets, so we're jumping between the 2. So without them buzzed, this is how it sounds, but adding the snare drums in the first bar. So let's put the snare drums in the first bar first. The first one is on beat 2 and the second one is on the and of 3. So we're getting. The best way to make those triplets sound nicest is to kind of make them sloppy. It works faster, but we're going kind of tight. You sort of think of them as being kind of long and loose. So a bit faster without buzzing the triplets yet. And now with the press rolls, this turns into, you just dig in, let the stick double a bit. So we can either make it sound kind of jagged, which is quite a Brazilian type thing to do, which is the style that we're in. Or if you separated them too much, it becomes a bit of a roll. It's just up to you really. I think I prefer it a bit jagged, but this is what it sounds like as a roll. A lot of experimenting will come up with a sound you like most. But as long as they're not just, then we're alright. So this leads into the last phrase. This is one of the occasions where the phrase is written above the bar line, which means we can voice it on the drums however we want. So our phrase is 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. The whole band plays. Ba, 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 ba. For me, I like to have a shape. So start high, finish low. With an impact at the end, or you can use some cymbals a bit more. Anything you want really, as long as you play the right rhythm. Maybe not all like crash cymbals, that doesn't really work. So from the end, including the last phrase, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the whole of Soul Bossanova. It'll take a while to get the groove, but once you've got it, it's fairly straightforward.